Hello again. I talked to you on the last video about foster care and where to start on that, and this video is going to be over international adoption and steps you can take to see if it's right for you and your family. And there's a lot of different steps for this as well that are different than foster care. If you want to check out the foster care, I'll put it in the suggested above, and I'll also link it down in the description box, and you can check that out as well if you haven't already. Mark and I got back from Thailand a month ago to bring back our daughter. So our daughter was an international adoption. It was the second adoption that we've done. Our first adoption was foster care, and this one was very, very different. I knew it was going to be different, but it was different in every way, besides bringing home a kid who needs a home. The first thing that I would recommend doing is to research countries that you may want to internationally adopt from. There's a lot of countries out there, and every single country has different requirements. So for example, Thailand has totally different requirements than China. There's an age requirement. For Thailand, you were only allowed to have 0 kids or 1 kid already. If you had 2 kids in your home or more, you weren't allowed to adopt from Thailand. And that can be a big push away from Thailand because a lot of families want to adopt after having more than 2 kids at their home already. You can look up countries all over the internet. There's a lot of adoption websites that can help you find those, and I'll link some down in the description bar. If you want to internationally adopt, you have to be aware of the requirements. You have to make sure that your family meets those requirements. If they don't, you need to look for other countries. Once you find countries that fit the description of your family, then you can look at the process of that country. And I recommend doing that before you look at agencies, because some countries, it says 7 to 8 years. Some countries are 2 to 3 years. And so if you want something in 7 to 8 years, there will be countries that are right for you. If you want something sooner, 2 to 3 years, there's other countries that you may want to look at that fit your requirements. So you want to look at the process and the price. All those processes and prices are on different websites that I'll link down below, and different agencies' websites. So you can get information from agency websites. That leads me into the next step. You need to look at agencies. Researching countries will help you research agencies because you'll find a lot of country information on agency websites. But you want to make sure that your agency does the country that you want to do. So that's why I would look at countries first. But sometimes you can, if you don't care what country, you can look at the agency first if there's an agency you really like, and then look at the countries. But those two can kind of be switched out. Depends on how picky you are about the country and how picky you are about the agency. Which one is your priority? In my last video talking about foster care, I told you that there's a lot of person-to-person, face-to-face discussions that happen in foster care. With international, there's not as much. Our agency, for example, is in another state, and so we didn't have a lot of face-to-face. They would be very willing to talk to us on the phone, FaceTime, Skype, but there wasn't a lot of face-to-face discussions about what's going on. We did schedule a time to talk to agencies on the phone and ask them a lot of questions. We looked at their websites. They sent us information in the mail, and we're very honest about the processes, the prices, the timelines, and so I would recommend doing that. You can't really face-to-face with a lot of these agencies unless you live close to them, just by chance, but you definitely need to call or FaceTime and see how easy it is to talk to them. Ask them all the questions that you have. Ask them to send you information so you have it, in pamphlets or brochures. Ask for information on the websites if it's easy to look through the website. If not, that may be something that you want to think about for another agency. Because it's not a lot of face-to-face, you want a website that's easy to navigate. You want a website that's going to give you all the information you need throughout the whole 2-year, 3-year, or 7-year process. When you're talking to the agencies on the phone, I would ask for references. They're going to have a lot of families that have used them before, and so I would call many families until you kind of get a feel for that agency. Some questions are, how easy was it to talk to them on the phone, to get in contact with them? How fast was their email response? How easy was their website for finding the right materials? Were there focuses of special needs? Were there focuses on sibling groups? Were there focuses on age groups? You want to ask, do they get their kids from orphanages or foster care within other countries? Just so you know. For us, we did not care if we received a child from an orphanage in Thailand or from foster care in Thailand. Thailand has a very good foster system, and so that's what ended up happening with our daughter, but we would have taken a kid out of orphanage for sure. It just happens to be foster care for our daughter. I don't know a lot about other countries, but from what I know and from what I've talked about with other people throughout this process, there's a lot of orphanages in other countries. And so if that's important to you, I would definitely look into that and ask references on how their child was taken care of. How are the state of the orphanages from that country? You want to know what you're getting into. One big thing you need to do before nailing down an international adoption and applying and starting the process is look at your finances. You need to know how much it's going to cost and look at your finances and figure out, is this feasible? Now let me say, it can range from $20,000 to $40,000. That's a lot of money. Mark and I knew we were going to be able to do this. We just trusted that this is what God had for us and that we would have the means to do this. But you have to trust a lot sometimes, and you have to be willing to change your living situation to meet the finances sometimes for international adoption. You need to be able to budget and make sure that you're right. There's a lot of fundraising that you can do. There's a lot of grants that we applied for. And so there's a lot of help out there. You just have to be willing to seek out that help or save your money as well. We did both. We saved a lot of our own money, we fundraised, and we applied for grants. And those were things that led us up to probably about $40,000 at the end of our adoption. So to sum it up, for international, this is just to get started. If you are thinking about comparing different adoptions, is research countries, research agencies, get in contact with them, ask for references, know the country's requirements, how does your family compare to that requirement, and look at your finances. Make sure you are completely educated on an agency before you agree to work with them. And then from there, you can start the process of applying. But I just wanted to talk about people who are thinking about adopting and want more information on where to start and where to look. Most of the people we know in our community do foster care. We honestly didn't know anyone who had internationally adopted personally. We met people internationally adopting once we were in the process, once we were close to traveling, once we were reached out, but they don't live in our area. International adoption is not something that we saw a lot of. We see a lot of foster care in our area, which is absolutely incredible, and we will continue to encourage that. But some families are right for international. But please don't let the price or the finances scare you away. Those kids are worth every penny of that money. Those kids deserve to have people saving their money and doing anything in their power to get that child to America and to get that child a home. There are other types of adoption, one, for example, being private adoption within the United States. I will not be doing a video on that. I have not done it. I don't feel comfortable talking about something that I have not been through. I do know the ins and outs of foster care, and I do know the ins and outs of international adoption now. So those are the two that I wanted to focus on in these videos. Please don't rush into these decisions. Really do your research. Spend time praying, spend time thinking, spend time talking to your spouse about what's best, and really looking at the details of your family before you make this decision. You want to bring home a child to a place that is right for them. You want to bring home a child to a place that's ready for another child. And so please don't take this lightly. Don't rush. Don't think it's going to be all excited candy and butterflies, because it's tough. Even international, even though you don't have the chance of losing them, you're still bringing a child home who's been through a lot. And there's a lot of love, there's a lot of need, and there's a lot of change in your life that's going to have to happen when bringing home a child from another country. Again, if you haven't seen our foster care video, we will link it in the description bar. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos that are coming up, and I will see you next time. Bye!